additional bans.
Please no. No more Camille. I've had enough.
Well, not just Camille. I'm wondering, this is an interesting dynamic because SK Telecom on the red side, we've been talking a lot about Camille and Rengar getting left up by red side, but this is an interesting dynamic where LeBlanc could actually be left open because of how adept Faker would be on the champion, but it's unlikely that Fly is getting any practice on the LeBlanc at all.
It's a pretty interesting idea. Maybe they just feel like it's so strong that they don't even want to take the chance because it would immediately be first picked, almost forced away into Fly's hand. We are going to see Jace also banned here. So Ryze, Malzahar, Jace, a lot of big power picks nowadays outside of the big three. And it looks like Varus will be the third ban for SKT, so they will be leaving open Rengar.
Varus being banned away there. Rengar most certainly going to be the first pick. And if this is the case with Varus off the table, it probably means a snapback with Ashe and X. X in this case should probably be a jungler, although there is the possibility of just getting the support out of the way. We'll see what Peanut wants to lock in for his team here, and it looks like Kha'Zix.
Elise and Lee Sin were the other big picks for Peanut himself, but Kha'Zix is the other big power pick in the jungle nowadays. So taking that out, Draven being hovered here by Longzhu. And no, it won't be the Draven. I'm not sure anyone was fooled by that one. So it will be the Jhin coming out.
Lock in Jhin. And Zyra being hovered. If Zyra does get locked in, SK Telecom should probably just bounce back with Misfortune instantly. There would be no reason to pick anything else before entering into the second ban phase.
And that's what they will do here. Going to go ahead with the Misfortune pick and go into bans. Second round here. Aurelion Sol being hovered, and it will be banned.
Banned away against Fly. He is the probably most famous Aurelion Sol player of all of the LCK mid laners in Korea. Cassiopeia being banned away now by Longzhu. Don't think it's too good of an idea to try to target Faker rather than try to target team compositions, but SK Telecom's team composition is so flexible right now that the Cassiopeia and even the Katarina doesn't really hit it too hard. Shen being banned away right at the last ban for SK Telecom does signal the Maokai pick.
Yeah, very common there. And Olaf, well, they've been trolling earlier on, so. Well, it is going to be picked. Okay, there you go. So, would expect the Rengar in the jungle and Olaf top. Although it could be the other way around. And Echo is going to be locked in as the final pick for mid.
Could be Rengar top lane, Olaf jungle. It could be Olaf top, but
yeah, that
would normally only ever be seen as a counter to specific matchups. And my whole brain is just falling apart right now because of this draft.
Falling apart at the seams. Well, the earlier series didn't help with that either. And, well, we're going to get a quick look here at exactly where they swapped these two. So, very curious to see which one will be in the jungle, which one will be in top.
The other thing for this is it's a blue side Olaf, so his ability to dog down his opponent in top lane is going to be diminished given the fact that SK Telecom, with the red side Kha'Zix, is going to have more incentive to have Peanut on the left-hand side of the map, so it's going to be more difficult for Expression up in that top lane to coordinate a kill against Huni. So a little bit surprising.
You can see the little pat on the back he gives to Huni too, where he's like, you can handle this, right? You've dealt with this before, and very confident yes out of Huni. And I would expect that as well. I don't think this is going to have a big impact in the lane, but we've seen crazier things before. Of course, we do have the Syndra last pick. I don't believe we did mention that. So Syndra Faker up against the Echo of Fly.
I really don't like how all-in Longzhu's team composition is, but I do like that they are trying something a little abnormal against SK Telecom here to try to find themselves a victory. SK Telecom's team composition, though, is as cookie cutter as they come. Basically as straightforward and no theme as you can possibly get.
It's nice. Just a lot of strong picks in every lane, and this is kind of what you said you wanted to see out of KT too. Just pick normal stuff. You know, don't let the Camille through. Don't let any gigantic picks through. And just go ahead and win your lane and go from there. So that seems to be the theme here for SKT. So you guys can see the final picks of both teams. Both teams ready to go into this game. And here we go, jumping into game number 1. It is going to be Longzhu Gaming up against SKT, jumping onto the Rift right now. So get out there, tell your friends, tell them to join the stream, and let's get into it. Well, you guys can probably guess who has the bigger fan base in Korea, but even so, miracles can happen. We are going to be seeing the Olaf in top. They want to mix it up, a different pick.
And both teams looking for some sort of aggression early on, but not really being able to find anything. And it looks like Huni is going to leash Peanut, the Raptor camp, using the saplings. This is a nice new opening that junglers have been doing these last few weeks. Able to get the level 2 and then make the route a lot more disguised. Makes it much more difficult to read if you're facing off against it.
Gorilla already taking a nice bit of poke and bot. It's kind of the fun you get in that lane even before the minions do come. And, well, it looks like Expression wants to steal the enemy blue. And this is totally unscouted. They do not know. Of course, Huni's going to be like, okay, this is weird. Olaf's not in top, but I don't think they can respond to this in time.
Yeah. They weren't able to get any sort of deep wards because of the fact that they would have been moving into a Rengar and an Olaf level 1. And so because of that, they have no intel exactly on where Crash is starting. And so it's a reasonable assumption for SK Telecom to just think that Expression might be leashing for him. But now, yeah, at this point, you see the missing pings going down by Huni, and he knows that something is definitely off, but it's already too late. Expression going to come to top lane with that blue buff, and that's going to enable him to just really bully Huni with those undertows early on.
Fly getting kind of blocked there by the minions. Pretty unfortunate, and you can see how much harassment damage Faker can get on the back of that. But it looks like Crash wants to make potentially something happen. He's going to take the Scuttle Crab first. Of course, Peanut does scout that the blue buff is taken. They already know this, as Olaf did show up late with the teleport up top with the blue. Nice bit of trading down here. You can see that both of these supports really trying to go back and forth, use their cookies early, get as much harassment damage done as possible.
Peanut just getting the Scuttle Crab for his team. Doesn't really have any ability to gank early on. Also important to note that Fly and Expression both having teleport will open up some split pushing possibilities later on, and Maokai not the best at handling that. SK Telecom's team composition will be susceptible to 1-3-1s the longer that the game goes on. I really like that Expression throws the axe into the bush just to check. Well, he actually already had a ward in there, so actually, never mind. I don't know.
Well, maybe
I thought that ward was SK Telecom's for a second.
Extra safety from Expression. Landing the Deadly Flourish. You can see Wolf has no more cookies, no more biscuits. And so he's going to be on that health here for a while. So shoving it in just a little bit. We'll see if he wants to head back in just a bit. He's going to stick around for now.
Now Peanut up near the Golem camp. And Expression's not going to have any intel.
Uh-oh, can he root it? Yeah, there it is, first blood. Thunderlords going over to Gorilla in the bot lane. Wolf being a bit greedy, staying there for that long.
Definitely over greedy, and now Faker trying to get some poke down, and a very big CS lead in mid lane for SK Telecom. Fly does have the teleport available to him, and if he uses it at the correct time, it should enable him to at least get 6 CS over Faker. Still, the deficit is quite big.
Peanut heading bot once again, and even the kind of, okay, I'm going there ping going off, and just going to head back. Not going to stick around as that Longzhu bot lane. And the CS lead in mid comes up again. But let's take a look once again what happened here.
So I mean, it was a pretty standard follow-up right there, and even if the heal came out, I'm pretty sure that Prey would have eventually been able to dog him down inside of the next brush, but they just weren't expecting that damage. And just a very basic mistake ended up giving the first blood over to Longzhu.
Faker trying to burst him down here. He is 6 before Fly. And Peanut's around even. And there's no wards that spotted him. So Fly has to be very careful here, finally hitting 6. Taking a look at top, that's not the tank versus tank matchup that we get sometimes, so there is actually some action that can take place between Olaf and Maokai.
They're getting really good chunk of Fly's life. And so far, I mean, everything has been pretty safe and standard across the board. The jungler's not going for any super aggressive plays, but with Crash having hit level 6, there's definitely some opportunity for them to look for some plays, but bottom not really in a position where he could make use of it, so if anything's going to happen, it's most likely going to occur in that mid lane.
Fly still having his teleport up here. He's going to head back to base. Will he take the teleport back to mid? Yes, he will. And here's Crash. Going to clear out the ward and ward a bit of his own, but he doesn't know exactly where Peanut is, so he's forced to back off as Faker comes over here. But Crash is going to go on in. The ultimate is used by Faker and forced to stun him back as Thrill of the Hunt pops off. So ultimate's blown there by Faker and Crash.
Faker did have to use his Ghost, Crash electing not to go for the blue buff of SKT. And if we're just looking at the CS gaps across all the lanes, SK Telecom doing quite a good job. The only reason that Longzhu has a lead right now is primarily because of that first blood gold. Hand over the blue buff to Faker here.
Having his way with that blue buff.
A little bit unfortunate as well for Fly, his recall timings. Not the best. He doesn't have that Hextech Revolver, and having already used his teleport, he's not going to really be able to make use of a better teleport. Now Faker actually elects to stay in mid lane.
Crash could be making a move here on Bang. Doesn't have his ult just yet. No Thrill of the Haunts. The flash route. Nope. Bang is going to flash away, and Peanut was nearby to help out as well. Either way, flash for flash. Peanut still hanging around. So we might have some action in here. Wolf pushing forward, trying to bait them into a fight. And there it is, coming on down. Tons of damage onto Gorilla, and he barely goes down. And look at this, Peanut is on Crash up there on the top, but is forced back by the teleport. And so just one kill over to SKT.
Yep, fantastic read by SK Telecom. Able to get the kill there onto Gorilla. And Crash being basically forced away right now is going to let SK Telecom get some pretty good turret damage down. Wolf just getting a little bit of his passive support item gold. We can just take a quick look at this replay. So they know that Crash is here, or at least they had a feeling of it, and Wolf able to finalize the kill onto Gorilla with the bullet time. Both of the teleports called in from top lane, but ultimately canceled in the end as there was no need to push on any further. And meanwhile, I mean, Faker's been having his way with Fly in the mid lane. Not the best of mid lane scenarios.
Yeah, just, it's the Faker effect, you know? Getting this far ahead, and Faker had the opportunity to counterpick the Echo with that last pick of Syndra, so you could tell he's obviously very comfortable in that matchup and doing quite well. Should see a pretty nicely fed up Syndra here as we get into the mid game. Now Infernal Drake is up. There's no vision here for Longzhu, but some things are going on near it. I'm not 100% sure if they know.
You know, just pulling it out just for a little bit more safety. They have the honeycomb plant right there. Yep, Peanut's gonna eat that up. Go back to full tail Scuttle Crab. He's not allowed to eat it. Now he's gonna punish him.
Little spank there at the end. Puts him in the ground. So Crash hanging around here now. Does have Thrill of the Hunt. Will he go for it? Really relying on Gorilla to land a root to start off this fight. Could have a Deadly Flourish started as well, but looks like Crash is just going to back off of this, not stick around for too long this time.
Expression maybe looking to make his way down to mid lane, but the way that the lane's positioned, probably wouldn't be able to find anything anyway. And the game is sort of just stagnating right now, and that's not good for Longzhu. Very good for SK Telecom, as all that they really have to do is stall out the game and go as even as possible, and that's always going to end up producing an advantage for them.
Whoa, the spam pings. They're like, oh god, get this guy out of our jungle. And Peanut could read it too as Fly was hanging out. And so, just going to back off from there. So, as you said, I mean, SKT, they usually are the team. They're very known for keeping the pace of the game exactly where they want it. So, if they're behind, they know how to just stall it out, take it very, very slow, not force any fights, really just disengage. And also, when they just want to farm up, they're doing the same thing right now. They're not forcing anything big. Peanut hops in, but the second he's in danger, he hops right back out, and he's not getting anywhere near Fly if they don't know 100% sure that they can win the fight. And Longzhu just not really having the same amount of luck on the opposite side, trying to force these fights. See Crash trying to take this blue, but an immediate back ping.
Crash is looking like a stray cat this game. Doesn't really know exactly where to go.
He's got no home.
And I mean, the problem is that his laners aren't really doing him any justice. Expression has basically not created any opportunity for Crash to come up on the left-hand side of the map. Not that it would have been something that he would want to invest in. Rengar should not want to be moving up to the top half of the map in that matchup, but unable to find any opening in mid lane, partially just due to how Fly has played the mid lane. And then meanwhile in bottom lane, the way that Prey and Gorilla have manipulated the lane and the minions made it extremely difficult for Crash to find an opening.
Faker boosting his CS stats there. Stealing a bunch of the small raptors. And Fly wants to come on in here, but little does he know, Peanut is right nearby. Gonna hop back. Can Peanut actually get on top of him? No, Gorilla is in position, as well as Crash, to stop any further chasing there in the mid lane. But here comes the Enchanted Crystal Arrow. It's going to jump right onto Gorilla. Does have the exhaust. Is it enough? Yes, it should be. No, Peanut is going to jump away. Here's Fly, and exhaust going on to him. They're going to trade 1-for-1 for now, but the curtain call does finish up Wolf, and Bang is on the run, all alone in the jungle. Stray Cat has found a target now, as has Fly. And yeah, he's going to be going down. Gonna give that one over to Prey, actually, letting him have it with the deadly flourish. So that's 3 kills over to Longzhu, only 1 for SKT.
Huge turnaround in a turn of events. And that basically started off Faker getting absolutely chunked and then being forced to back away. Couldn't quite get the kill onto Fly, but you can see here that Enchanted Crystal Arrow came out, locked up Gorilla, but Exhaust cast at a perfect time. Gorilla able to get away. Peanut thought that he had made it to safety, but Fly eventually came in, and with the aid of the curtain call, they were able to clean up SK Telecom here, and Bang was able to get a kill, but didn't really quite matter as he was eventually just chased through the jungle. Then Crash and Prey able to finalize that kill.
Even so, SKT not taking the best fight, but still just about even in gold. Longzhu only 500 ahead, and still SKT does have that Infernal Drake, so they retake control of the bot side river. Echo just gonna zone them out here in the brush as he pushes that wave. Things should reach normalcy here in just a bit, although we do have the second Infernal Drake spawning in about 45 seconds. And nice dodge there by Gorilla.
They're looking to make something happen. They can't let SK Telecom just stall the game out.
Oh, another big root there by Gorilla. And the 4th shot will hit Wolf. He's going to eat it. But look at this, Huni. They have spotted this. They pinged him a bunch of times. Coming in all alone, actually. Just going to go in there and flash onto Crash. But no real follow-up as a lot of the members are not nearby. But it's enough damage to push them back. Because Olaf is still in top, maybe they can get this dragon pretty fast.
So even though the cat-on-cat action did not end up producing anything, they're going to be able to pick up the Infernal Drake because Huni's here, and that's why they brought him down. Crash, unlikely to be able to find a way in here. Doesn't have flash available, there's no blasting plant. And so double Infernal Drake going over to SK Telecom. And now even if they get the first blood turret on Expression's Olaf, it doesn't really mean anything, as now they've basically just given a lane over to SK Telecom to permanently freeze up in top, and Longzhu's not going to be able to make use of that lane anymore.
And they're going to be down 2 Infernal Drakes, so not the best situation. As long as SKT can hold out for the mid game, they should be in a fantastic spot. And Faker pushing his way on up, just trying to get that scrying plat. No can do as Expression heads on back too. You can see that Olaf is pretty far ahead of Maokai in the top lane, but Huni has done a lot for his team and in other parts.
Maokai skin coming in here, trying to get some coverage of Crash's jungle. And right now, even though SK Telecom are behind in gold, they really aren't when you factor in the effect of the Infernal Drakes. In terms of raw combat stats, Huni gonna pick up some farm, as blue buff's gonna be handed over to Faker.
Next Drake is gonna be a Cloud Drake, so not quite the same luck this time around.
Oh. They managed to pick up the Skull Crab.
I'll land that Deadly Flourish, and the Thunderlord's proc once again, so Wolf eating a lot of damage. Going to have to get that back up here.
Now is Kitty just going back into the farm mode, and you can see that Expression continuing to just shove up in top lane. Now being forced to try to move elsewhere. He's not going to be able to really do anything against Huni up there, and they might go for a dive onto Faker.
Looks like Faker's read it perfectly. He's ready to go. Doing more damage to Expression than Expression is to him, but really this is about getting this turret mid, and it looks like they should be able to. Last shot is going to do it, so that's going to be second turret going over to Longzhu. SKT still at 0.
And even though they're getting these turrets against SK Telecom, all that it's doing is giving SK Telecom less area to defend. And when you look at the team comp, I mean, it's designed to have an extremely explosive mid-game where they're intended to just bulldoze over SKT. But if SKT only have to turtle their tier 2 turrets, it's going to be really difficult for them to find an opening.
Yeah, and they haven't really been finding much just yet. As Faker and Peanut in mid are pretty happy to just push that one out. Still both bottom lane turrets are alive, so they're kind of just pushing it back and forth. Spirit Visage picked up on the Maokai. Kind of give him a lot more survivability, especially against Fly Gorilla combo. Lots of magic damage coming out of those two.
Peanut getting up another Scuttle Crab.
Very much just a passive game outside of that one fight. You know, there was the first blood, kind of a small mistake and a nice catch by Longzhu in the bottom lane, and then we had the one fight. And then, you know, some of the dragons come down. It looks like Fly should easily be able to jump out of this one. Lots of mobility on Echo. It's kind of one of those games that you just wait for the objectives to come up and have fights that center around them. And just, you know, small advantages given either way in terms of vision or the, you know, the wave control, lane control.
Problem for Longzhu, though, is that SK Telecom are on the red side, so they'll have the luxury of being able to defend against Baron inside of their own red side jungle. And then on top of that, with Cloud Drake being the next dragon to spawn, doesn't really give much incentive for SKT to try to contest it. And so they're going to be really hard-pressed to find a way to make SK Telecom fight them. And if they don't, it's just going to be a never-ending scaling game. But the curtain call...
Oh, man, that first hit did a ton of damage, even so. And Peanut even leaping in to help out in the cause of defending. So that was a close one. That would have been another kill they could kind of put as a notch in their belt. But as for now, as you said, I doubt they're going to be trying to fight here around the dragon unless they can get a pick. So Fly just pushing in mid. You can see that Crash and Gorilla are also hanging around. Oh, and you don't want to face check that brush. Okay, Hawkshot coming on out. That was a close one, but smartly enough they do check it. So they weren't 100% sure. Getting this red buff would be nice. Ward just come down though, and Peanut a little bit slow on that one. Lots of damage coming out, and Crash able to pick up the enemy red. Teleport coming in, and just going to be canceled by Expression as Faker zooms his way out of there with the Ghost.
See, Cloud Drake is up right now, but neither team really wants to invest into capturing it. Although maybe SK Telecom are going to turn their attention towards doing so right now.
They actually delayed the back of Crash too. So they're saying, hey, we're doing it, and also. But
this
doubt
could
that was
be
on
an
purpose.
opening, though.
Yeah. See what they can do. Is Fly going to engage here? No, they're just going to give it over. As no one could really group up in time, and Expression was all the way back home, but so was Huni. So just giving over another Drake to SKT.
I almost feel like it would be a wise choice for SK Telecom to actually let their bottom tier 1 turret die, so that, again, the terrain that they have to defend at would be reduced and they don't have to overextend. And it's all about just basically restricting the area in which Longzhu would be able to try to entice them into a fight.
For now, they're going to send Huni down there to just farm one-on-one against Echo. Suppose they're just confident enough to leave that up for now. Although, as I say that, Huni... Oh, okay, it looks like he may just be placing a ward. Or just checking the river there. Gonna continue pushing bot.
Both teams just continuing to farm up. And I mean, it's all that SK Telecom really needs to do. Fly, having the items that he doesn't really pose too much of a threat to Huni down in that bottom lane. Now Huni actually moving up. Gonna be unlikely for them to be able to find a Baron opening, at least not without killing 2 or 3 members of SK Telecom.
Yeah, it's almost just kind of this funny dance where you run around the Baron, try to get that vision, see if you can catch out anyone on the other team. And if you can, obviously, you can get a huge advantage of that. But generally, SKT is better at maneuvering and outmaneuvering their opponents. Even Faker checking the brushes around his own jungle because he's not 100% sure where everybody is. The Fly's waiting in that brush. Just going to poke Peanut and back off. See the fight in bottom lane. Both of these guys pretty tanky. You can see that Olaf does have the Black Cleaver for damage.
It's a little bit interesting to me that despite having Edge of the Night for Prey, they're not using the Curtain Call to open up more windows of opportunity for their team. Prior to having that item, you could assume that Bang would just be able to use the Enchanted Crystal Arrow to stun Jhin. But even still, I feel like there's a lot of little micro things that they could be doing to force SK Telecom to be more defensive than they are right now. But instead, we're just moving into this scaling game, and that's never going to be good for this Longzhu team comp.
Yeah, they haven't really seemed to identify that fact, you know? As you were saying, they're not really pressuring, looking for big openings, using their items to their advantage.
And to make matters worse, I mean, the next dragon that's coming up is the worst one in the game.
Or Ivysaur now.
The worst one that could spawn.
Well,
especially Maiko down here.
Yeah, is forced to pop that ult, so will not be taken up, and Crash can just come down here, Thrill of the Hunt, and force them back. So thought we were going to have some action, but not the case. Just waiting for that opening, as you were saying. Haven't seen an Enchanted Crystal Arrow in quite a bit. You could see Faker and Wolf moving on over, just trying to clear up all of the vision. If they can steal blue, that would be an extra nice bonus. Wow, they're gonna leash this blue and take it all the way home.
Ooh. They end up taking it, putting it onto Faker. Fly now gonna move up to top lane to shove the wave back in, but I mean, this is almost like the definition of insanity. They're doing the same thing over and over. And Ocean Drake's certainly not gonna change anything that's happened. If that were an Infernal Drake or a Mountain Drake, then they could potentially set up vision control around it, and that would guarantee that SK Telecom would probably look to contest it.
We've come to a point in the game where we're watching Olaf versus Maokai go head-to-head. That's the most exciting thing happening. Before it was looking like Olaf was doing okay, but now he's kind of run out of mana. So, very even trade nonetheless. So far, Longzhu have control of the Baron Pit. They have the pink ward down. Looks like they also got the Scuttle Crab. But some vision around there, so SKT knows they haven't started vision.
Specian could basically just auto-attack that turret and take it. Seems like that is going to be what he does. But I mean, that's fine. The gold gained from that isn't really going to hurt SK Telecom too much. The dragon coming up is completely useless for both teams.
Now, if a team felt enough ahead, they could try to kill that as fast as possible so you could have the Elder spawn as fast as possible. But I guess that would be up to Longzhu at this point. We'll see if they do want to do anything like that. So far, they're just going to use this Rengar ultimate to zone everybody out and try to get another tier 2 turret, or at least their first one of the game, but this could open up the arrow. It does miss. And so no response from SKT, just gonna let that one go.
And so right now, gold lead about 4,000, just slightly over 4,000 gold. Ocean Drake has spawned. You see ping is going down onto Baron. SKT really needs to start getting turrets.
Yeah, but where do they have a lane to do exactly that? They're kind of just sitting here. A lot of, you know, in order to set up the bullet time, they need a stun to go down, they need a pick to happen, but Longzhu themselves have been relatively careful, only going for objectives when they feel 100% safe to do so. And it looks like Longzhu will actually go for this Ocean Drake here. Nana will go. Next one will be Elder. So that's what we were talking about. Trying to get that to spawn ASAP.
Now you can see that top lane is very difficult for them to make use of. So it's basically just going to be a lane that SKT can funnel resources into one of their carries whenever necessary. And meanwhile in bottom, Expression still can't really achieve much. And so this might actually be a case where we just have to wait for Elder Dragon to spawn before we start seeing real action occur.
Definitely could happen like that, unless one of these teams makes a big move towards the Baron. Try a sneak Baron or something like that. We've seen plays like that happen before, but you really need to clear out a lot of the vision around the red side jungle of SKT and around the Baron, obviously. And they're about to do that, so we'll see if they want to make any shenanigans happen. Olaf is still down there in bot lane. I was looking at the minimap, wondering where he was, but he was underneath Maokai. As they're going head to head, going pretty low, both of them.
Huni has to be really careful here.
Yeah, I mean,
Olaf's lifesteal, yep.
He's going on in, and uh-oh, Huni gets him underneath the turret. Both of them flash. And if Bang could land an arrow, no, he's gonna miss though. And Expression will get away. Had he landed the arrow, maybe they pick up Olaf, but either way, the Baron will be started by Longzhu. Hulk shot is going to come on out, and they do see this happening, and it looks like Longzhu is not going to go for it.
SK Telecom might actually be able to pick up their first turret of the game here. Teleport is available for both sides. They have to be careful not to get flanked. Actually is a perfect ward behind SKT had they overextended too far forward in mid lane. I'm still very confused as to why Prey isn't using the curtain call more frequently to try to create openings for his team.
Saving it for the perfect time, I suppose, but it's not always the way you want to play it. So now they're moving a little bit deeper. Olaf is still at bot, but he does have the teleport, as does Maokai. Huni on that. Okay, they're going to go for the sneak. And this ward is not cleared out. SKT, they don't know yet. Oh, okay, here we go. They know. And the arrow coming on through. Going to force Longzhu back. Smart move. SKT still just hanging on. Not allowing Longzhu to get away with anything. No objectives, just the Ocean Drake.
Remember, the longer that this game goes, the more beneficial it is for SKT. Double Infernal Drakes doing work as well with each item that is purchased, so lots of pressure right now, and I mean the clock is ticking. So they're gonna have to come up with something. Peanut gonna take the blue buff.
Interesting idea. Faker was all the way in top lane, so just wanting to get that buff and have it be useful in the near future rather than wait for Faker to go all the way to the blue. Just give him the top lane farm instead. Allow him to get those items a bit faster. You can see he's already on 5, waiting for that 6th, has the Doran's Ring for now. But already up to 413 farm. Looks like Faker, 413 at 35 minutes into the game. Whereas Fly with a much more modest pro gamer score at about 350 at 35 minutes. About 10 a minute, or yeah, 10 a minute.
Minions actually will soon begin approaching a point where they're going to start being the real heroes of the game, taking turrets.
If the real heroes won't do it themselves, and the minions have to take it into their own hands.
Elder Dragon coming up in just over a minute. Faker at 420 CS at 36 minutes here into the game.
Hasn't quite got the 100 CS lead just yet. Maybe eventually. Longzhu's still in total control of that vision, but SKT are very good about having kind of a sixth sense about what's going on, and they also have Ashe, so they can always just hawk shot. They're like, okay, you're starting now. Whenever they lose vision, they wait about 5-10 seconds, and then they send out the hawk shot to just make the most use of that cooldown.
You can see the problem that Longzhu's having, where they don't know how to create openings for themselves, and with SK Telecom being unwilling to make mistakes or overextend, it's basically just appearing hopeless as the game continues to extend. Maybe they can hope for something to happen once Elder Drake's up, as then they'll have 2 major neutral objectives to bounce between. Looks like they're going for it yet again. And this almost seems like desperation at this point, because they are clearly beginning to panic. They have Fly, though, up in the top lane. SK Telecom are the ones that have to react to it. Huni does have the teleport available to him. He's the one that is on janitor duty up there.
And you can see, once again, Thrill of the Hunt, you know, it's like they're trying to bait SKT into a weak position around Baron. Okay, now they're going to go for it. They pushed SKT very, very far back, but there's a ward there. And here comes the Enchanted Crystal Arrow. It hits Prey. That's going to be a pretty long stun there where he's not doing damage. Peanut's heading on in. Hawk shot to clear the way in front. Still no Huni teleport. And look at mid. Faker's like, yeah, you guys aren't going to do it. I'll just pick up another turret. Why not? Peanut going to come in here and delay 2 backs.
Faker delaying 2 of the recalls, and now SK Telecom are starting to pick up the turrets. And this is actually a very beautiful display of what you need to do when you have a superior scaling team composition.
Well, they're going to go for the Baron here too, and that's probably because a bunch of people just went to recall, and if they can burst it down fast enough with the double Inferno, they do get it. Faker taking a ton of damage, though, will be hopped on by Fly, and now Expression in the front taking a bunch of damage too. Bray there, and now Huni is kind of alone in the pit. It doesn't, well, he does have his flash. He's going to wait until the last second, but here comes Crash, going to jump onto him and should be able to get him. He's trying to turn on to Fly, but no, not going to be enough. They do pick up 3 kills in total, as only Gorilla goes down on the side of Longzhu.
So 3 for 1 at the end of the day, but SK Telecom do pick up the Baron. Although they should have to concede the Elder Drake, as we can see that now Crash and Expression moving down there. Don't think that Peanut is really going to be in a position to contest this or try to go for a smite fight. He is also down a level, so his smite is weaker, and actually he did just use his smite, so even if he wanted to go for it, he can't.
Does have his ult, but yeah, not even going to attempt it here. It's just going to be given on over to Longzhu. And so they're going to be about exactly the same here. Looks like the Elder Drake buff will be just 1 second ahead, 1 second extra comparatively. So stronger as a team right now, I suppose, Longzhu, whereas SKT might have some more pushing power. We'll see if they actually do get a chance or if they even want to go for some pushes.
we can just take a quick look at this replay, and you can see that basically what happened was Faker just got completely deleted, and even though they managed to shred down the Baron really quickly, something that's not being shown on the screen right now is the fact that Prey was able to get onto Wolf. You can see that on your minimap here. A little bit surprising that Huni tried to flash. It was pretty obvious he could not get away at this point when you factor in the brush mechanics.
That throw of the Hunts, try to push them back and group up as a ball. And meanwhile, there were 4 in bot, there's 1 in mid, that's Expression. They're gonna land the arrow, but immediately just gonna pop the ult. So I suppose they trade ult for ult, and a second ult here with a curtain call.
Oh, Faker.
Oh boy, he's gonna Zhonya's, but he's in a ton of trouble. Trying to get the bullet time, and Crash almost does go down, but he was a little bit too far up there against the Rengar.
But too far up indeed, and I really like the guerrilla warfare tactics coming out from Longzhu here. You can see that SK Telecom are really divided, having trouble keeping up with the split pushes, and using the Rengar to be able to join the fray whenever.
Uh-oh, Peanut gets jumped on. He got rooted there. And Fly was just able to delete him once again. The echo damage is very, very big, this amount of burst damage he's doing.
And the Elder Dragon still persisting right now. It's about to fade, but certainly they made great use of it.
And that should be the inhibitor, as 2 members are still down. We're at 42 minutes into the game. We haven't had all that much action. And look at this, they're still pushing. We got 30 seconds on Peanut, and oh, look at Bang in the back. He just disappears as Crash able to destroy him. Wolf is going to be jumped on as well. There's that all-in kind of formation, the team composition you were talking about. The ult is used on the Fly. Faker trying to burst him down, is not quite able to, and that's 2 Nexus turrets going down. Huni, though, is able to pick up, it looks like Prey on the back of this, and now going for Gorilla. Should be able to pick up a double kill here.
And able to pick up the double. Yeah. Gonna find his way onto Expression, gonna pick him up as well, but it's an open Nexus against a double teleport team composition. So SK Telecom, they're hanging on by the skin of their teeth right now. A few missteps that they made ended up costing them a lot.
I see a lot of worried faces on the SKT side of the fans right now, as they obviously know what this means as well. And look at that, Bang just
ended up getting completely destroyed. And Wolf, shortly thereafter, Expression kept going on to Huni, but Huni was extremely tanky, able to find his way onto Prey, and he was even able to lock him up inside of turret range. And that was one of the big problems here, and then he turned his attention onto Gorilla, as Faker was able to deal with Fly and Expression as they were on the Nexus. You can see the pings are actually going down on the Nexus. And the other thing to entertain about the open Nexus is the fact that it's not just the double teleport that they have to be worried about, it's also the fact that Crash can ult and join any of his teammates inside of the base if they want to go for some sort of a base race play. And with Baron coming up in just over a minute, there's a lot of potential for Longzhu to basically guillotine SK Telecom between all of the objectives that are still existing.
Bring down the axe. That's what they want to do. You can see SKT getting behind on that Baron power play. Lots of members and towers just going down in total. And so we do have the Baron coming up in a minute. See how Longzhu wants to play this. You can see there's a control ward around that Nexus, saying, okay, we want to make sure there's no wards around here that they can teleport to. But it definitely doesn't mean that Longzhu can't get in there. You can see how defensively they're playing.
Huni just waiting for the teleport wherever they need it. Baron now 30 seconds away, Fly in bottom lane. Has the teleport available, and with Lichbane, he shreds turrets so quickly. Can't leave him unattended. Just gonna pick up their blue buff really quick. Gold score very close, but remember, SK Telecom has the double dragon. So lots of ramp to their physical damage and AP.
Second Baron spawns. Thrill of the Hunt comes down, and SKT just waiting, and look at this, it's going to be burned down. Hawkshot coming out. How will they respond? They have 4 members that are heading there, and Huni to sit in the back. Gorilla trying to zone them out.
Love the fork right now. This should probably just be a free Baron, although, okay, Crash does join it.
Yep, and there you go. So that's going to be the Baron given over to Longzhu with that open mid lane. How are they going to do this? It looks like they might go for bottom lane first. Some pings going down there. They can push in mid and then cycle over. Use the Rengar to their ability as well.
Turn their attention down to bottom. Prey has the curtain call available, but they're neglecting top lane, but that's all right because you can see where Crash is positioned. SK Telecom need to find a way to basically hold on right here.
Here it is again. Trying to just push in bot as fast as possible. Using the Syndra MF, and there's the curtain call. Trying to open it up. Tons of damage being taken by Peanut in the front, rather. And there goes the turret in about a couple of shots from Prey, and that might be the second inhibitor as well. Crit being shot, they're going to take it very slowly. Got to be very careful about the stuns coming out from Bang Faker, the engage potential. And still having both inhibitors up, but still 2 minutes left on this Baron, so Longzhu has a lot of time to push this one in.
They elect out of trying to push that too far forward. Middle inhibitor, by the way, back up again. And while Baron still does exist, SK Telecom trying to just make the game go longer and longer. But Huni now at 6 items. Faker has been at 6 items. Peanut almost at 6 items, and also Bang almost at 6 items. So the game is almost capped out.
Pretty much. We might see our supports get all the way up to 6 items eventually. And the push continuing in mid. Elder Dragon in about the same amount of time as Baron buff. Has left over about 1:10. Here we go, Thrill of the Hunts. There is the immediate USS, the cleanse there. Huni coming in from behind, but look at the amount of damage in the back. Crash able to get onto Bang, he disappears. Huni also is getting pretty low in that back line. Peanut, though, able to turn it onto Crash. Now 4-on-4 right now. GA, Guardian Angel, is procced here onto Huni. They're going to try to burst him down as fast as possible. That they do. The bullet time coming on out. Expression getting very low. So does Fly, but look at that. Faker able to zone his barely any health, but will go down to the crit of Prey. I think that was about 1,700 damage. And I think that should be it. I mean,
that's going to be game over.
Yeah.
SK Telecom going to go down here in game number 1. And this might be the night of upsets. We're going to go into game number 2. But Peanut just trying to improve his KDA.
Trying his best. And he's not going to be able to. Fly has the GA, and that is going to be game 1 going to Longzhu. What are we watching?
I don't really know what to say. SK Telecom had everything going their way, but they had a thin line that they had to walk where any type of mistake against Longzhu's team composition could prove to be disastrous, and that's exactly what it was. We talked about earlier on how SKT didn't have a real proper response to 1-3-1 type of tactics or any sort of split push tactics that would then involve the Rengar. And when you have such a no-themed composition being forced into this scaling war, it's not the best